Hi guys. We were doing dress selection and design. And we left off right here. Caliper measurements. When viewing only the head and shoulders of a woman seated at a table, one unconsciously forms an opinion of her height. However, when she stands, she may actually be much shorter than her head and shoulders indicated. A majestic head and trunk appear disproportionately large in relation to short legs. Some part of nearly every figure is too large or small, too wide or narrow to relate well to the body as a whole. Caliper measurements furnish clues to pronounce differences and serve as a basis for the selection of becoming clothing. Directions. To discover how you deviate from the fashion or the young adult figure, have your measurements taken with ruler and squares that give heights and widths to compare with the two-dimensional figures on the chart. No one can measure herself, so these measurements should be made as a class project with the girls measuring each other in the following manner. Wear only panties, socks, and brassiere to ensure accuracy of measurements. Pin sheets of construction paper to cork boards or tape them to laboratory blackboards. Stand with your back against the paper so that your partner can record your measurements on it. Mark on the paper top of head, shoulder level, waist level, hip level, knee level. Record each measurement in inches using a yardstick to measure each length from the floor. Measure the head length by using two crossed tailor squares or a caliper ruler. Do not forget to subtract the width of the tailor square, usually 1 1/4 inches. Measure as accurately as possible. Consult your instructor for confirmation. The head is the basic unit, so if it is incorrectly measured, all other measurements will be thrown off. Using either cross tailor squares or caliper, measure the body widths at A shoulders. Measure touching the bones at the tips of the shoulders. The bones at the tips of the shoulders. Waist, measure touching but not pressing the flesh. Hips, measure at fullest hip width at the pelvic bone. Fullest width width, and knees, measure width with knees touching. Note, subtract the measure of the tailor square from each measurement. 6. List all measurements in inches. Convert to head length by dividing each measurement by the length of the head. Record them in the column provided. Compare your own measurements with those on the chart. If any seem incorrect, have them taken again to ensure accuracy. Many students will want to construct their own two-dimensional figures from these measurements. For them to do this successfully, each measurement must be absolutely accurate. Otherwise, the figure will appear caricatured. A comparison of the listed measurements will show clearly enough how your figure deviates most markedly from the established proportion. Posture photographs. Photographs are also invaluable for self-analysis. They can be taken in the laboratory to study suspected figure and posture deviations. Front and profile views should be made. To facilitate analysis, all the pictures should be taken in exactly the same place against exactly the same background. Shown in this figure are method of taking height and width measurements with Kraft-Taylor squares. Preparation for photographs. Tape a large sheet of construction paper to the wall to use as the background for all photographs. Or on it, rule heavy black vertical and horizontal lines spaced 2 to 3 inches apart. Silhouetting body curves against ruled lines shows clearly the relative width of hips and shoulders, as well as figure and posture faults. Wear either a tight swimsuit or a brassiere and panty girdle, with a belt marking your natural waistline. The belt reveals whether the waistline is abnormally high or low, large or small. Circumference measurements. Although round measurements made with tape lines do not reveal bone structure and proportion, as well as those made with calipers, they do furnish clues to figure and posture deviations. The major pattern companies use 3 circumference measurements: bust, waist, and hip, and the vertical measurements of the back waist length to determine pattern size. Since these are body, not garment measurements, they can be compared easily with individual measurements to reveal where and how much an individual measurement, where and how the individual deviates from standard measurements. An analysis of the charts in the back of every counter pattern book shows the relationship of bust and waist to hips. The hips of each standard size for women, misses, junior misses, and teenagers exceed the bust by 2 inches. In half sizes, the difference is 4 inches. It says here, in many colleges, the Department of Physical Education takes posture pictures of all entering freshmen and gives prints to the students. This, of course, eliminates the need of retaking posture pictures. It says hips exceed waistlines by 9 to 10 inches depending on pattern size. The hips are measured 7 to 8 inches below the waistline. A survey of women's figures made by the USDA based on the measurements of 10,000 women found their mean stature to be slightly over 5 feet 3 and their mean weight 133 pounds. One conclusion drawn from the study was the nation's women were very far too much in size to be properly fitted by garments made by for the average woman. Okay. So it says right hip higher than left. Right hip, left hip. So align your hips and then knees, put your knees and toes like as straight as possible, aligned. Relax your abdomen. Head, hold it forward. Keep your shoulders aligned and your hips aligned. Your buttocks aligned. Okay. Directions. Wear the same garments as for caliper measurements and photographs. To ensure accuracy of comparison, the directions given are like those which appear on pattern charts. Use a tape line that does not stretch. 1. Bust. Circle the body around the fullest bust circumference with the tape line held snugly but not tightly. Raise the tape line slightly at the back. One company directs you to keep it exactly level. 2. Waist. Circle the circumference at its smallest circumference, that is where the body creases when it is bent. 3. Hips. Measure 7 inches to 8 inches below the normal waistline. Keep the tape line level. Notice at this time whether the hips are heavier, lower, down at this level, and also whether the thighs have full curves. Many women find that the fullest hip measurement is 9 to 10 inches below the waistline. Skirts can be designed especially to conceal heavy thighs. 4. Back waist length. Measure from nape of neck, top bone of spine, to the waistline. And then that's how you measure the bust, I guess. The waist and the hips. So many from, okay, 4. So from the top of bone of the spine to the waistline is the back waist length. Pin a ribbon or tape snugly around the waistline to define it accurately. This measurement reveals whether the waist is longer or shorter than the standard length. Measurements and photographs can be taken during the same laboratory period. Neither is time-consuming. The camera shots are invaluable, for they often reveal posture defects which can be corrected by exercises that develop muscular control. If possible, the analysis should be done under the supervision of a physical education staff member. Finding out that a defect exists, learning how to correct it, and then practicing corrective exercises can prevent a minor fall from developing into a major one. So, let's see here. First, methods of realizing figure potentialities. Personal photographs, caliper, and circumference measurements furnish a sound basis for self-understanding and self-improvement. Do not try to force yourself into the ideal standard. Rather, consider whether you're making the most of your figure. Differences are interesting only when they are exaggerated should you attempt to change them. The following general suggestions are given for improving figure proportions. Diet and exercise will improve the figure by changing its size and proportions, but diet only under the careful supervision of a physician. And dieting without medical advice is neither wise nor safe. Improvement of carriage will in effect improve figure proportions as well as diet and exercise. Standing and moving gracefully can be learned and is as evident to others as size or weight. It's true. Supplement the first two suggestions by wearing a well-fitted girdle and brassiere, by choosing becoming clothing, and by dressing your hair in a flattering style. More specifically, a well-fitted girdle will actually reduce hip size, and it will also firm the flesh and help control hip movements when you walk. A brassiere will lift and support breasts that are too low and heavy. Clothes designed to build out where the figure is too narrow and cut down where it is too wide give an illusion of better relative proportion. And a hairdo planned with an eye to restoring figure proportions will accomplish wonders. If you know that you measure only 7 heads tall, reduce your apparent head size by arranging your hair close to the head. Most of us have seen before and after photographs of advertising weight-reducing courses. The before picture always shows the subject standing stolidly with feet apart, waist settled, and abdomen relaxed. And the heels of her shoes are flat and her clothing ill-fitted and unbecoming. The after picture invariably shows that the subject not only has reduced, but that she also has learned something equally, if not more valuable, to make the most of her figure by standing with body well aligned and feet close together. The model appears taller as well as more slender. She wears higher heels, a well-fitted dress of a dark, solid color, and her hair is arranged to increase the effect of height and slenderness. Weight reduction, improvement on carriage, and better grooming and selection of flattering clothes have all contributed to the transformation. A girdle reduces and firms hips. A brassiere raises and supports the breasts. Okay, before and after. So this is saying that if you put a girdle or whatnot, it tightens up your hips and your breasts get lifted, etc. Before and after, I actually like the before better in this picture, so that's just me. Weight reduction, she looks like a stick on the second picture. Okay, so, but it's good to have better, a carriage, neater grooming, and more slenderized clothing, so, as a tip, I don't like that. Okay, and then it says, excess pounds on the buttocks melt away when hips are tilted down and under. Sagging breasts seem higher and more youthfully firm when the head is held erect. Other common figure faults, such as protruding your abdomen, head held forward, round shoulders, hollow chest, can be blamed generally on poor body alignment and should be corrected before they become fixed habits. Defects sometimes can be disguised by clever dress designing. But anyone who thinks twice about it will prefer to correct the body fault rather than go through life camouflaging it with specially designed clothing. If you've drawn the figure yourself, you have discovered that beauty of relative proportion, the relationship of each part to all. I think she has a natural stance, and she's pretty good posture in this picture, and her hair is neat, her head is in a good angle, she's smiling, her shoulders are pretty straight, they're not like tilted, she's not too hunched. Her arms are in a good position, natural dropping down. Her hips are straight. They're not protruding forward. Like she's not like creating an unnatural position with her body. Her legs are natural. Her feet are natural position. I think this is a good right position for a person. So. And then it says, you've discovered the beauty of relative proportion, the relationship of each part to all others, and to the whole is the ideal rather than any specific height or weight. A girl may be 5 feet tall and exquisitely beautiful if every part of her body is scaled to her petite size. Or she may be 6 feet tall and majestically handsome if all her proportions are related to her statuesque figure. The only common quality is the proportional relationship that characterizes a truly beautiful figure of any height or weight. So here it's showing some older styles with a tall hat, straight dress with a low-hanging belt and an umbrella, flat or small heel shoes, kind of like Mary Jane. Here it's showing a fancy hairdo, ball gown with a very elaborate decor in the back, very long dress with bows and draping, maybe lace. And this is showing like a veil coming off of a conical hat, maybe fur on the tips of a long dress, draped down dress. Some styles. So, fashionable historic postures. Fashions in posture, too, have changed throughout history. Famous belles and influential royalty often established what now appears a posture defect as a rule for all the court ladies. Illuminated manuscripts, for example, show all the medieval ladies posing with abdomens extended far forward and shoulders carried back as if weighted by the long veils suspended from the tip of her cone-shaped pennons. The bustle silhouette of the 1870s with arched spine and shoulders forced back is a notorious example of the unnatural posture known as the Grecian bend. It was so uncomfortable that ladies were obliged to retire to their boudoirs and slip into loose negligees when not entertaining guests. Bustles disappeared from the scene, but the heavily boned, flat-fronted corset survived for years. Many can remember the discomforts of the Gibson Girl era, abnormally arched spines, tense shoulders, thrust back, and high-boned collars that dug into the flesh. That's no good. The 20s brought the debutante slouch. Oh, I see. So this is like supposedly a fashionable slouch, like Oh, I'm like relaxed, like and cool kind of slouch, like deliberate. A rebellion against stiff-boned corsets and stiffer posture. Soft girdles replaced corsets, but even that much constraint was too much for the flapper. The more daring shocked their elders by parking their girdles at check rooms during the dances. Brassieres were designed not to lift, but to flatten bosoms into the boyish form. And slouching was the vogue. Skirts were knee-high length or shorter, and belts plunged to the hip line to completely free the waistline. The whole pose marked the emancipated post-war woman. The Roaring Twenties roared a bit again in 1958 when the shapeless chemise dress was revived. Although the posture of past eras are fascinating in retrospect, no one would wish to revive any artificial pose that forces the body out of alignment. I think just natural is better. Whenever you force something, it's like the opposite extreme, you know. So, but I guess since we go through different phases in order to make a certain point, you know, and we evolve over time. So I'm gonna pause, I think, and I'm gonna try to do measurements that they were saying about with the to figure out my personal proportions, and we'll go over that in the next part. So my page is facebook.com yosalplay, YOSALLPLAY. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.